is The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, the most important television program ever.
My guest tonight, the director of the...
Candidates are feeling much better today because the first debate, they can check the box. It is over and done with.
Woo!
Right now, Donald Trump joins us on the phone. Good morning, Mr. Trump.
Good morning.
So how did you think it went last night?
I thought it went really well. I mean, I had some hostile questions, but that was okay. I thought it went really well. It was the debate of debates.
Who was the first person you went to after the debate and said, how do you think it went?
Well, my family came up, Ivanka, Melania, the whole family. And I thought that they came up like unbelievably well. They were just happy. They thought it was great.
You said that you got some hostile questions. That's the job of a moderator, is to ask hard questions. Do you feel that Lester Holt asked Hillary Clinton an equal number of hostile questions?
Well, he didn't ask her about the emails at all. He didn't ask her about her scandals. He didn't ask her about the Benghazi deal that she destroyed. He didn't ask her about a lot of things that she should have been asked about. I mean, there's no question about it.
Why do you think that is?
About her foundation. Why? I don't know. I mean, I didn't think he did a bad job, but I didn't, when you look at it, you watch the last four questions. He hit me on
boom.
Bertha. He hit me on a housing deal from many years ago that I settled with
1973.
With no recourse and no guilt. He asked me about that. That's a beauty to be asked. 40-year-old lawsuit or older. I just hate to say it's older because then you'll know. Then Ainsley will say, "Wow, I didn't know Trump was that old." she'll be unimpressed. But
I did like how you responded to that, though, because when they throw those things at you, and you're being in the audience, I didn't know about that, and then when you explain it, then you're like, "Oh, okay, well that makes sense."
Yeah, so I explained it, but when you explain that, it's a no-win too.
Mm-hmm.
But they were leaving all of her little goodies out. They didn't ask her about much. I was asked about my tax returns, which I've told about 500 times. So it's but I think I really did well when we were asked normal questions. I think I did really well in answering those questions, but those questions are not answerable in a positive light.
So Donald, any person who wants to be great in anything, and I think it's pretty clear to even your greatest detractor, you want to be great, looks back and says, "Well, I wish I could have done this better or different." Looking back at the tape, seeing some clips, do you say to yourself, "Man, how did I miss that?" Or "I wish I would have said this differently"? And if so, what is an example?
Well, when she hit me at the end with the women, I was going to hit her with her husband's women, and I decided I shouldn't do it because her daughter was in the room.
Is that what you mentioned? I had something I could bring up, but I didn't want to bring it up?
In front of Chelsea.
Having to do with her husband.
Many people thought that the
all of the women. Yeah, they sort of thought that was it. And I didn't feel comfortable doing it. I think I did the right thing. It's not worth a point. I didn't feel comfortable doing it with Chelsea in the room. I think Chelsea's a fine young lady. I didn't like doing it with Chelsea in the room.
Do you regret not bringing up the emails as much? You brought it up at one point.
Well, I brought them up pretty strong. I talked about them, and I talked about cleaning them. Don't forget, Lester should have brought up the emails. That should have been a question.
What about Benghazi and the Clinton Foundation?
Well, I would have liked to have done that, but the questions weren't, don't forget, you're asked a question as to progress or as to something. And it's hard to get off to Benghazi sometimes, the way the questions were framed. You start off at a totally the opposite of Benghazi. And so Benghazi can't get brought up. Right. But it was a very interesting evening. I thought it was good. I thought Lester was really good for the half because he was bringing up general and main subjects that were important. Things like the economy. And then in the end, they start bringing up 45-year-old lawsuits.
Donald, do you think he got the message from the Matt Lauer commander-in-chief from a couple of weeks ago where he didn't want that to happen to him, and so he went where Matt seemed to me to be fair and balanced? Lester leaned a little over into the left lane?
Yeah, totally. More than a little. And he leaned over to that lane. But I don't know. Every poll, I won Slate. I won Drudge. I got almost 90% of the vote in the poll. I won Time Magazine. I won CBS. I won every single poll other than CNN, and not many people are watching CNN. I'll tell you what, that place is a disaster. The people they have on those shows, they have third-rate talent as their announcers on that show.
Yeah, you didn't.
The moderators.
I was
they're
watching some of the.
terrible.
I was
They're
watching some of
terrible.
the post game. They were
No,
beating up on Corlo and Dasker.
MSNBC, believe it or not, which treats me better than CNN, which is actually hard to believe, but MSNBC is beating CNN.
Right.
So anyway, no, other
Well, we're
than
beating them
CNN, the only poll I got that was where I lost was CNN, and that was a very Democratic poll. It was, they even say it was it's very sampled, high Democratic.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think the result was very good. I thought it was very interesting. I know a lot of people wished it was much longer. I mean, and it did go fast. I will say, from my standpoint, an hour and a half sounds like a long time when it's two people. It went so fast, 20 minutes. It just kept going so fast, and I was impressed by that. That meant I enjoyed it, I guess.
Right. Okay. So let's move on to something. They brought up your taxes, and you said, "Yeah, I'll release my taxes against what my lawyer's better judgment if you get me the 33,000 emails that you deleted and bleached off your server." Jennifer Palmieri, I saw her in the spin room, so I wanted to see if she would take that deal. Here's what she said.
He suggested that the reason why he hasn't released his taxes is because he hasn't paid any. He seemed proud of that fact. He said that made him smart. So I think
if it's not illegal.
He compounded. Our expectation is that he compounded a lot of problems for himself. He is the candidate. He has historically. Is historically challenged in disclosure. We haven't seen his tax returns. He still hasn't put out. He hasn't matched her on health records. He's not given the American public the most basic information that we expect.
Well, the question that you didn't hear that was
that's
edited
called
out.
spin.
She just chewed on it.
It's a
That's called
spin room.
spin. Because, it had nothing to do with that. I just said, hey, I will go against my lawyer's orders if you release your 33,000 deleted emails, which I'm sure she could get. But, they'd be very dangerous for her to get. But so I'm not giving much when I say that. What do you think the chances of my getting that deal? Do you think they're pretty small?
Yeah, probably.
She basically blew it off.
Unless Julian Assange releases them for
Yeah,
her.
that'd be interesting. Well,
Well,
he's supposedly out there. He is saying he's releasing something, which will be interesting. But
Yeah.
let's find out what he's going to release.
Going in, she was trying to get under your skin a couple of times. Did she?
No, not at all. I didn't see it that way. At the end, maybe, the very last question, when she brought up the person that became, I know that person. That person was a Miss Universe person, and she was the worst we ever had. The worst, the absolute worst. She was impossible. And she was a Miss Universe contestant and ultimately a winner who they had a tremendously difficult time with as Miss Universe.
Did not know that story.
Well, I didn't know it either.
what
She was the winner, and she gained a massive amount of weight, and it was a real problem. We had a real problem. Not only that, her attitude, and we had a real problem with her. So Hillary went back into the years, and she found this girl. This was many years ago, and found the girl and talked about her like she was Mother Teresa. And it wasn't quite that way, but that's okay. Hillary has to do what she has to do. I see what's happening in the polls.